Yo, we're coming at you. It's a WWE Raw post show for Monday, October 25th. Tonight on the show, Zelina Vega goes full King Booker. Seth Rollins is the new number one contender. And Veer Venus is coming. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? We are live on the Ringside Report Network, as we are after every Monday night Raw. My brother is back with me. He's been gone for a few weeks. You haven't been on here for Raw for a while.
I was a little sick.
Yeah, you were sick for a week, and then there was other stuff. There's like different things happening and different... Thank you, Leor. Shout out Leor to new member. He's a member. Be a member. Angelo's a member. Brian Firth is a member over at donate.ringsidereport.net. You could be a member over at join.ringsidereport.net if you want to show up with the Halloween graphics like Angelo has done. Shout out Angelo on the chat. Shout out to everybody checking us out here tonight. We got a big show, and I'm happy that you're here with me. Raw was actually decent tonight. It was like not bad. The main event was very good.
Yeah, fantastic main event. The main event always leaves you with a good feeling about the show overall. And yeah, there were a few developments during the show, and nothing dragged on too much, you know?
Yeah. I didn't get really bored during the show. I wasn't like, what's next? I was like, all right, it moved along pretty nicely. The things that I was not that interested in ended quickly and didn't kind of drag on. And we'll get to everything here that happened on the Monday Night Raw show. Brian Firth dropping the super chat. Thank you, Brian. I love those
scary.
Halloween. I'm going to be sad when Halloween's over and we lose those Halloween graphics. I like that Halloween stuff.
My favorite times of year.
Yeah, I love Halloween. Brian Firth wants to know when we're getting new merch. We should put out that Veer Venus t-shirt because it was a Veer Venus vignette. Let's get that out of the way right off the top. That's the most important story as far as we're concerned.
Breaking
over here.
News.
Veer has veered off from Jinder. He's no longer with Jinder. He's on his own. He's his own person. And he got a little vignette thing saying Veer is coming. And I was like, whoa. Veer is coming. They are getting excited for Veer, and that's a big deal. Like, he was Jinder's goon, and now it seems like he might get pushed harder than Jinder himself on Monday Night Raw, which is it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's very good news. The last time I think he was featured, he looked rather strong, and he got the win, I think, in a tag team match. I forget who the opponents were, but... yeah, now they have this vignette.
Mustafa and Mansoor.
I do believe you're correct there. And yeah, now that he has a vignette, and like usually when you have a vignette, that guarantees you at least 3 to 5 wins right off the bat, you know, to make you look rather strong before they decide whether or not they want to continue pushing you.
Guarantees you some goddamn respect is what it guarantees you, you know? Seems like Veer is going to get a little respect, which is big, like... They're actually doing something with Veer, and here's a guy that we kind of pointed out and said, you know, this guy's got a good look. He almost looks cooler than Jinder himself. Jinder's big and jacked, but Veer's got the long hair and the beard and the face paint. Like,
interesting kind of tights, too, like unique tights.
He's got an interesting look. I like Veer. We like the whole Veer Venus angle. If you want to, you know, make him the... long-lost son of Val Venus, I think would be good. You know, Val went on a tour of India in the 90s, met Veer's mom. Of course, Val Venus, legendary coxman. You know, he made sex with Veer's mom. And then, you know, a few months later, out comes the big Veer Boski, who is also legendary for his giant wang and his tremendous pornography, but also he's like an Indian killer, and he's Veer Venus. I think that'd be a great story that they could do. They're obviously not going to do that, but I like him. I think he's a talented guy. He's good in the ring. He's got a great look. So I'm happy that they're doing something with Veer, because I think they could do something with Veer. Like, I think there's money in Veer. We've been telling you there's money in Veer. I've also told you there's money in the banana stand, but that's a whole other thing.
It's always.
I've heard there's money there. But that's something.
But it's great for Veer because sidekicks and goons never get vignettes and are rarely well treated after they've split off from their guys. You know, your Alex Riley, your Damian Sandow, Tyson Tomko. You know, like when they split off from their main guys, they just kind of show up, you know, in the ring without even getting music.
They get moved down the ladder.
Yeah, and like then they get like beat up by, you know, Batista or something.
Yeah.
But Veer is getting a vignette. Like, you know, it's something. It's a clear signal to the audience that like we're gonna pay attention to this guy, so you better pay attention to him too.
Veer Venus vignette. Big news on Raw tonight. All right,
It's important.
I mean, we spent enough time talking about it because it was a very small part of Raw, but, you know, the main event was very, very good. It was Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, and Rey Mysterio in a fatal four-way ladder match for a WWE title shot. But you had 3 baby faces and 1 heel going into it with a babyface champion. So you and also the 1 heel was Seth Rollins. I was pretty sure that Seth was going to win this match. Nevertheless, it was a pretty exciting match and a very, very good main event for Raw. You know, for a Monday Night Raw show, this was excellent. Really good. The show started out with Big E cutting a promo, talking about how much he likes Houston, talked about DJ Screw and Houston and how he likes it there. He also congratulated Woods on winning the King of the Ring. Seth Rollins shows up. He wants a title shot. Rey Mysterio shows up. He wants a title shot. All these guys showing up. Finn Balor, then Kevin Owens. And I'm like, haven't you guys just been getting beat up by everybody you meet in the WWE recently? Like Big E pointed out that Seth had just lost to Edge at the Crown Jewel. Kevin Owens was not booked at the Crown Jewel after just getting beat up by Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss over and over again on SmackDown. Like last time we saw Kevin Owens, he was just getting tossed around by Baron Corbin, and now he's showing up saying, give me a WWE title shot. I'm all for it. He had a great performance. He was the MVP of the show tonight, Kevin Owens, as he usually is in a big-time ladder match. I mean, Kevin Owens is one of the great kings of the ladder match at this point. He's just great. You know, I think you could put him up there with Edge and the Hardys and Shawn Michaels and all the great ladder match performers. I think Kevin Owens is up there with them. I think probably Sami Zayn is as well. Those 2 guys are killer in ladder matches. Fortunately, we didn't see Sami here tonight. He's on SmackDown. But Kevin Owens is great. You know, in ladder matches is really those big bumps, as you saw tonight, some crazy stuff that he did. Crazy stuff, and that's really where he shines. Kevin Owens is a top-level performer in those ladder match situations. Those big bumps, man, like nobody does them better. So Seth wanted a title shot. Ray wanted a title shot. Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. So Sonya Deville shows up, and she's like, we're going to have a fatal 4-way ladder match for a WWE title shot, which is a very babyface thing to do.
And Sonya came out to booze.
Yeah, because she's a heel.
Yeah.
Why don't they do Adam Pearce as the babyface, Sonya Deville is the heel? That's kind of how they were doing it, but then Adam Pearce took an F5 from Brock Lesnar on SmackDown, so he can't come out, right? He's dead. But Sonya Deville, she comes out. She was beating up Naomi with Shayna 2 weeks ago on SmackDown in a 2-on-1 beatdown of Naomi, who's just like the nicest babyface, unless we're supposed to understand that she's going to turn heel and join the Usos, which would make sense, but they haven't done that, you know? The Sonya Deville character makes absolutely no sense. Like, for her to come out there and say, fatal 4-way ladder match, it's like, cool, but coming from Sonya, you're like, why would you do this? You're a heel, aren't you? It's weird.
Yeah,
you know?
like Seth Rollins was upset at this announcement.
Yeah,
all
Seth
the other
was
guys
mad.
were like, yeah, let's do it. And Seth was like, nah!
That's it.
So I was like, what are you trying to convey here?
Maybe she's a babyface with the men, but a heel with the women?
Maybe?
Maybe that's it. We got to pay attention, I guess, real closely to how Sonya Deville books these matches, I guess, going forward. I thought she was just a straight-up heel, but tonight she made that big announcement for the Fatal 4-Way Ladder match, and I was like, okay, thank you, Sonya. I thought we were supposed to hate you.
Maybe.
But
I mean, like,
you know,
I could be wrong. Like, maybe like once in a while, Eric Bischoff made an announcement that like the fans were happy with. Maybe like he would say like this match will be in a steel cage because I want Raw to be a cool show.
Eric Bischoff did invent Elimination Chamber.
Exactly, the Elimination Chamber. As I think he would say it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a pretty babyface move.
It was pretty sweet.
Not for the wrestlers.
I mean, it's kind of rough.
Especially those first chamber
the first
matches.
Ones, yeah.
Those chamber matches. I love those chamber matches with the chains on this, like the floor.
Yeah, It was rough. It was brutality.
But that was a babyface move by a pretty heeled GM, but I think like you said, Adam Pearce was written off, so they couldn't have Vince say it. So they're just like, okay, you just say it and you'll get a pop, and we'll ignore it.
Yeah. It was a strange move there by Sonya Deville, but hey, I'm happy with it. It got the main event. It did what it needed to do. I think you could have done that without Sonya Deville, though. How about Big E just says, hey, how about you guys have a match, a fatal 4-way ladder match
in Houston,
and the winner, because the people of Houston deserve a ladder match, and the winner could face me at some point and the winner will get a title shot. And then they could all just be like, all right, fine. Seth could be like, no, I don't want to do it. And then they could be like, well, Seth, then you're not in the match, and it's a triple threat. And he's like, well, okay, you know what I mean? Because you'd rather be in the match than not be in the match if the match is happening. They could have done it without Sonya Deville. They don't really need Sonya Deville to come out there and do it. It could be Seth's idea. Brings it to Sonya backstage, or, Seth could be in favor of it, and that's why Sonya could accept it, to keep Sonya a heel. It could be Seth's idea, like Seth wants to hurt the other guys. He thinks that he could gain an advantage. He has wrestled Edge so many times that he got in his head, and he knows how to be the ultimate opportunist. He's the real ultimate opportunist now, and he can be the ladder match king just like Edge was, and he wants to prove it tonight.
He's taken his powers.
It gets you around the Sonya Deville thing.
Yeah,
there's always a way around it,
and it fits in line with his egomaniac character,
trying to take over Edge, be the new Edge, be better than Edge. I'm better than Edge. I will show that I can't be beat in ladder matches starting now, and I will win. Something. And
I will brutalize my opponents.
Yeah,
I will burn them down or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Seth
curb stomped Finn Balor, and then climbed up the ladder. Rey Mysterio had gone through a table. Kevin Owens powerbombed him through a table on the outside, so Rey was down. Kevin Owens took a back body drop from inside the ring, outside the ring, through a ladder. The ladder it broke strangely. It looked like it was part cardboard. I don't know what that ladder is made out of, but they're not they don't break like steel ladders. There's something in those ladders like wood or cardboard or something, but it's not solid steel that he went through. It still looked pretty rough, though. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying that they make it a little easier for him. It's a gimmicked. It's a gimmick ladder, and it was just very obviously gimmicked in that bump. Like the way the sound, it kind of tore. It sounded like tearing through cardboard. It was weird. And the way it broke too, kind of like a cardboard box would,
Yeah, it had a very kind of brittle kind of look.
Yeah, it didn't sound.
And it didn't have a clang. It was more of a thud.
It didn't have a crunch. It just had a rip. It was more of a rip than a crunch. It was like a whoosh, rather than a I don't know. I can't do sound effects for ladders, but you understand. It was strange. It was a gimmick ladder. Nevertheless, Kevin Owens took enough crazy shit in this match. He took crazy shit before the match even started. He smashed his head into ladders. And I'm wondering now, was he doing that to find the gimmick ladder? Because if you hit it with your head, you would know which one's steel and which one is not.
So, yeah, take note.
Because he was smashing his head into the side of the ladders as he walked down the aisle. And he may have cut himself a little bit on the head, and it looked really intense and crazy. It was pretty cool the way he did it during his entrance. But I'm wondering now, maybe he did it for a reason because if you do hit it with your head, you could kind of be like, okay, first ladder was steel, but this one is the gimmicked one that I have to go through.
I mean, it's possible. Although in those instances, I would hope that they would say like, okay, Kevin, we mark this ladder with a 1 here. That means it's the gimmick ladder. You know, like just like in a match meeting when they're like before the show. I'd like to think, but I could also think of them being like, "You have to figure it out, pal."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works.
You gotta swim with the sharks.
Because you would think if it's
Which
a gimmick
one's
ladder,
fake?
they would make sure not to climb on it because it might break.
Yeah, and it would look really weird if they just start climbing and then it crumples under their weight.
I wonder what those prop ladders are like. Like, what are they really made of? How much weight can they withstand? Because some of them are real, but some of them, like, that they go through, they're obviously gimmicked in a way where it's a little easier on the body. You're not going to get, shards of steel kind of cutting you, which would be terribly dangerous. Like,
yeah.
I'm glad that they do it for the guys, but at the same time, I just wonder what they're like. I want to touch them, you know? I never touched a gimmick ladder. Give me a little feel, a little squeezing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let me hit it with my head. But that match was fantastic, man. Kevin Owens doing the swanton on the ladder. That's the thing.
That was a real one.
Yeah, because you could hear the clang, right? That's the problem with the gimmick ladder in these matches is that when you hear the sound when they crunch on the real ladder as opposed to the sound when they crunch on the gimmick ladder that they break through, it's kind of like, oh, it seems different there. You know, like, oh, that seems like a different ladder. Like, the taller ones seemed like maybe not as real as the shorter ones. I don't know. Strange. WWE magic, you know? Yeah. I'm not really sure.
Their production team, you know, their prop team.
It's really good. It's really impressive.
It is, sometimes.
I mean...
Sometimes they do...
If you look at the history...
They try to do a lot with a little.
Bullshit. If you look at the history of wrestling, their prop department is Hollywood's, status. Like, come on, man. The history of wrestling and all the bullshit props.
Hollywood.
Come on. Look at the history of WCW gimmick matches and come back to me. You've seen some fucked up shit there.
Like poorly done?
Yeah. Poorly done. You ever see the electric fence matches in WCW?
Yeah.
Like WWE would never allow that shit.
It was like Mae Young's hand and like
even the remember the AEW thing where the
fireworks.
Yeah,
that was bad. Yeah, but
WWE
that's not
would
Hollywood.
Not,
Hollywood is, you know.
Okay, but WWE
that
would not happen in WWE. Their shit is tight.
Yeah, they're better. For wrestling companies, they have the best production value. But they've done some really corny, you know.
Oh yeah, their angles are shit and they do dumb shit. But as far as the production value itself and the stunts and the props and what they can do, their capabilities,
like the Undertaker shit. Yeah.
It's the greatest production value in the history of professional wrestling. It just, that's all it really is.
Depends
it's just
what they
so
put money
glossy
into.
And production value. That's all they have.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have good stories. They just have really nice cameras. It looks good. Really nice graphics. The editing of their videos is fantastic. Like those promo packages that they do, it almost makes me not want to watch Raw and SmackDown just so I could watch the pay-per-views, get caught up with those beautiful promo packages, and actually enjoy WWE. If you only watch one show a month and you just watch those promo packages while the pay-per-views... Because when we watch those pay-per-views, we ignore those promo packages because we're like, yeah, we know this. We've seen this. But for people who don't watch Raw and SmackDown, they watch those promo packages and are like, oh, that's the story for the match. Cool. And then they watch it and they, enjoy it, I think. I think it's easier to enjoy if you watch, once a month. But if you're watching every week, it's kind of it's a grind.
Yeah, especially since, they never take a week off.
That's why WWE fans are so angry because, they give you so much wrestling and they're like, why isn't it all perfect? It's like, well, they give you so much, man. It's hard to be perfect, you know? They could do better, though. They could do much better. But they did great tonight. I thought Raw was fine tonight. A lot of stuff that I was not interested in. But again, it didn't take that long. The stuff that I was interested in, like the main event, was most of the second hour. It started, I think, just before 10:30. You know?
They were doing entrances around 10:25 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 20, 30 minutes almost. I mean,
that's all you can ask for. To me, when you have a main event that's that good, the rest of the show that was kind of is fine. And there were moments Becky Lynch came out, did a promo, which is very intriguing because of the whole Becky and Charlotte controversy that erupted over the weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So seeing Becky was really cool. Zelina Vega did a promo. It was very bizarre. You know, like there were moments of this show where you're like, oh, okay, they're doing this now. Interesting. You know,
new creative direction.
Veer got a vignette. You know, Carmella's boobs were out of control. Like, what the fuck? I didn't want to draw too much attention to it, but she's drawing enough attention. The camera is like just focused on her boobs. They're just like, I don't understand what's happening. I mean, I understand, but it's I mean, it's her gimmick, right?
It's interesting. And now she has like this mask. It's like diamond-studded mask.
Yeah, it's like, don't even look at my face. Just look at the boobs. Good God Almighty. I mean, you know, it's a look. It's an impressive look. And she is engaged to Corey Graves. Carmella wrestled Liv Morgan. Carmella beat Liv Morgan via pinfall after a face buster. She just beat her clean. I was like, how many matches are Carmella and Liv Morgan going to wrestle? They wrestled 1 million matches on SmackDown. They both move over to Raw. Season premiere of Raw. Brand new shit. It's Liv Morgan and Carmella from SmackDown. You've seen this 1 million times. What the fuck?
Do they assume people who watch Raw just watch Raw? So it's like, oh, you've never watched SmackDown, so this is fresh for you. Find out what you've been missing.
I don't know.
It's possible.
I don't know.
They think people take the brand split seriously. You know, put a little SmackDown on it. Remember those T-shirts?
Liv said something to Corey Graves about getting engaged to Carmella because that's a thing now. I guess they're acknowledging it on TV.
Yeah.
They kind of have to because it was over their... WWE was putting it out on their social media like Corey Graves and Carmella get engaged. So, yeah. And then Liv Morgan just loses again. People want Liv Morgan to succeed, and it doesn't seem like WWE are among those people. Right?
So it would seem.
She seems to have fans, but they're not in the WWE, right? And, like, apparently she was told not to acknowledge AEW.
Oh, like in a tweet?
Yeah.
Like to say, like, good show, guys, or something?
Something like that.
Or
like
pulling for you, Britt Baker, or whatever?
I don't know. There was some sort of back and forth with her and AEW. I think it was with Britt Baker at some point. It was just like, oh, what's going on here? You know, Liv Morgan's kind of talking about AEW, and then I think she was maybe told not to or got in trouble for it. And then over the weekend, I see that the Inspiration, formerly the Iconics, Cassie and Jesse, right? Formerly Peyton and Billy, right? They're now the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions. They won those on their Impact debut at Bound for Glory, which I actually watched.
You watched Bound for Glory?
Saturday was crazy for me. I watched everything. I watched UFC, the Marvin Vettori Paulo Costa fight, right? UFC in the afternoon. Also Bellator, Fedor knockout, which was crazy. I lost money betting against Fedor, but then I kind of evened out betting on Marvin Vettori, so it kind of evened out. Even Steven, like Jerry Seinfeld. What the fuck else did I watch? Oh, Dynamite on Saturday. And then after Dynamite, Bound for Glory started at like 10 o'clock. I watched Mickie James beat Diano Perazzo for the Impact Women's title. It was a very good match. I saw Christian drop the title to Josh Alexander, who then dropped it immediately to Moose, who won a gauntlet battle royal earlier in the night for a title shot whenever he wanted it. And he chose to cash in on Josh Alexander like at the end of the show. Alexander had like a long, good match with Christian. 2 Canadian guys, by the way. It was pretty sweet. And it was a good match. Alexander becomes the champion there in Impact. Christian, took that belt from Kenny, and then Kenny dropped it to Christian, and now Christian dropped to Alexander. And then his wife and son were in the ring, like, celebrating. And then Moose comes out and just, like, beats up Alexander in front of his kid and pins him. And then stood over his, like, beaten body and the kid. It was pretty crazy, actually. It looked pretty, like, mean. But anyways, the most important part of that night was that I saw that in the gauntlet they had two big surprises. Two? I think it was two. Melina was one of them. Oh, yeah, it was intergender battle royal, by the way. So it's like men and women in the battle royal, which is kind of crazy. So they had Melina, and they also had the Kiss Demon.
The kid, like from like WCW?
Yes. Who I don't think of at all from WCW. I think of him from the Expos. Because he is... You don't know this? So the Kiss Demon is Dale Torborg.
Oh, Jeff Torborg's son.
Jeff Torborg's son. Jeff Torborg was a baseball manager, and the Kiss Demon was wrestling in WCW, but then, of course, fizzled out because he's terrible, and he's the Kiss Demon. And then he became the Expos like strength and conditioning coach for a while Jeff Torborg, who was a terrible manager, was the Expos manager.
He was a manager right before Frank Robinson, I want to say, Torborg?
After.
Robinson was there at the end.
Oh, okay.
He managed
so maybe
in
before?
Washington.
Yeah, okay, before
he was there
then.
before,
yeah. He was shit. They were both shit.
He was Glorious Goon, because then he went to Florida. I think he was...
Never the point is that I saw this fucking Kiss Demon and I got all upset about Jeff Torborg and the Expos. I got real mad just seeing Kiss Demon. He's like 50. He looked like shit. He didn't move. He just stood in the corner until it was his time to get eliminated. Terrible, terrible surprise for very Impact. I was like, come on now. But the pay-per-view was not bad. I didn't hate it.
Was he billed as the Kiss Demon?
Yeah.
And like he had a...
They billed him as the Demon because they didn't want to pay Kiss.
Did he have the face paint?
Yeah.
Like a Kiss?
Like Kiss.
Like Gene Simmons kind of?
Yeah.
Tongue thing?
Johnny Swinger was like saying it was Gene Simmons and wanted his autograph, and then he got eliminated. Okay. And that was Kiss Demon's whole thing, eliminating Johnny Swinger.
Wow. That's an old name, too.
Yeah. Who's like just still an Impact all the time, right?
Rhino
and Heath Slater reunited. Chris Sabin was not on this show.
No, he wasn't.
Eric Young was on the show. Rhino, Heath Slater, Matt Cardona, Brian Myers. Yeah. Christian.
How did the Iconics look, or Inspiration?
Good, great, fantastic. They're awesome. Anyways, Liv Morgan congratulated them on Twitter, and I was like, she was allowed to talk about Impact, and then she loses tonight to Carmella again.
Apparently, like the WWE talent aren't allowed to be at Impact shows anymore, or at AEW. Like you can't be backstage.
Really? Well, so Angelo dropping a super chat. Sorry, what?
Oh, sorry. Because I heard one of the things was Charlotte went to Dynamite on Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that could have been rumor.
I don't know what to believe about that story. We're going to talk about the Charlotte Becky Lynch thing in a little bit because that was crazy. Angelo dropping a super chat saying AEW is back this Wednesday night. Yes, indeed. We'll be back, too, after Dynamite this Wednesday night. I'm excited. Dynamite in Boston. It's going to be good.
The TD Garden.
Rampage in Boston, too. I think Rampage is being taped after Dynamite. Tape Rampage this week.
Are they at the big arena at the TD Garden? Or a smaller one?
I think so. I don't know, though. I don't know exactly. I could tell you, but...
Just wonder if they're selling out the big arenas.
AEW tickets. Where is... I don't think so.
Oh, no?
No, Agganis Arena. I don't know what that is, but it's not the TD Arena there. It's not the main one.
It's probably a game or something. Because they could probably sell it out. They have the track record. They could sell out big arenas.
You would think. I don't know, though. We'll see what it looks like when we see Dynamite on Wednesday. We'll be here after Dynamite on Wednesday. Thank you, Angelo. Tied for the lead here with Brian. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Brian. So Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode beat the Street Profits and the Alpha Academy to earn a tag team title shot. Omos came out to attack Montez, so I guess Omos, AJ Styles, and the Street Profits are going to do some sort of thing. The Alpha Academy is just on Raw right now. And Ziggler and Roode, for some reason, get the tag title shot in this triple threat, which was fine. The match was all right. Nothing special there. But the match was later that night. Like, it happened tonight. Why were Ziggler and Rude, the heels, double booked to face the babyface champions when the babyface champions only had to work one time?
One of them is Randy.
And one of them's Randy, who's like super strong, and Riddle, who's booked pretty strong, and they still like barely won. Ziggler had Riddle in like a bad situation, and then Riddle like managed to roll him up, just kind of barely winning. Didn't really hit the finisher to win. It was like, Ziggler and Rude wrestled already. They wrestled a triple threat. Then later in the show, they're the heels. They are under adversity for some reason. You would kind of be rooting for them after having to wrestle already in the night. They're going up against Randy Orton, who's like a great champion, and Riddle. But no, Riddle and Randy are the baby faces. And, they win kind of barely over Ziggler and Rude. It was a strange way to do it. Very strange booking. Like, that's not what you do to your heels. Just give them the match. Give them the match. Have Street Profits wrestle Alpha Academy, in a match. Have the Street Profits lose because Omos comes out. Just do that and have Ziggler and Rude versus Randy and Riddle.
In a non-title match? Or
in a non-title match. No, wasn't it a title match? In the title match. Yeah. No, in a title match. Who cares? Okay. You're the tag team champions. Defend your titles. Ziggler and Rude are here. They're a tag team. It's Raw. It's Monday night. Defend your titles. Ziggler and Rude want a title shot, so you're going to defend against them because why not? It's Raw. You're the champions. Do it. You don't have to earn it. Who cares? It's tag team champions. Back in my day, champions defended their titles sometimes just because. You didn't have to be the number one contender. There didn't have to be a reason. You know what the reason was? You're the champion. You have to defend. We're on TV. We need a match. You're the champions. Go out and defend your belts. Oh, you don't want to defend your belts? Maybe I should strip you because you're not fighting champions. They're baby faces. Shouldn't have a reason. Ziggler and Rude could come up to them backstage and call them stupid and say, hey, Randy, why are you hanging out with this jerk? He sucks. Riddle's terrible. And then Randy could be like, well, actually, he could probably beat up both of you guys, no problem. And then they say, oh, yeah, why don't you prove it and put the belts on the line? And Riddle's like, you got it, bro. And then boom. And that's actually better because instead of Riddle looking like Randy's little idiot sidekick who just looks up to him and is a bumbling fool most of the time, you could actually have a story where Riddle is kind of being picked on by some other guys, and Randy could be like, well, actually, this guy may look stupid, but, he could probably beat up both of you guys, no problem. And then, they're like, okay, give us a match, put up your belts. And then Riddle takes it because he's overzealous and he's a little, jumpy, but he winds up winning the match for the team, and it's all well in the end. Like, that's actually a much better way to do it than booking Ziggler and Rude as heels to go up against the baby faces, Randy and Riddle, as, it's right?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And
let me book this shit.
And Riddle, being headstrong about it, kind of like adds to the characters. Like Randy would be like, "Oh, come on, man, I don't want to do that," because that's kind of Randy's thing.
Well, Randy could be like, "Well, we don't have to defend our belts here. Like, you guys don't deserve it." And Riddle could be like, "You're on," because it's Riddle, Riddle.
And if you want to build like a wedge between them, that's a way to do that. If like that's what they're eventually building towards. And also, I had another thought. Riddle.
It's all right.
Yeah.
If you can't think about it anymore,
something about Randy.
If you can't come up with it, it wasn't that important. That's what I always think. Sometimes that happens to me. It's like, oh, there was something else I needed to say.
Lost my train of thought.
But you know what? I just move on because there's other shit to talk about, and there's plenty of days to remember and say it to you.
I'll tell you off air.
I'll tell you later when I come up with it. Maybe. Zelina Vega. Okay, we got to talk about Zelina Vega. That. She cuts an in-ring promo about being the Queen's Crown tournament winner, which is a super awkward, long thing to say. I wish she could just say she's Queen of the Ring, but alas, it is the Queen's Crown tournament. So she has to say all the time now, she is the Queen's Crown tournament winner. She also has like half a British accent. She's kind of going like King Booker. She, that was Booker T's gimmick. You can't just steal Booker T's gimmick where he does this delusional character with British accent or what he thinks sounds like a British accent. Like, that was the funny part about Booker T. It didn't even sound like a British accent. It just sounded like an olden days accent that Booker kind of came up with that he thought sounded regal and British. You know, Zelina just kind of drifted in and out of this weird British
the pinky
accent.
finger. He's the pinky finger.
Yeah, like, exactly, which is so ridiculous. Like, Booker's gimmick, King Booker, was perfect and was done to perfection. It made so much sense for the character, the comedy, and the character that he was leading up to King Booker made a lot of sense to transition into King Booker. Zelina doing this comedic British accent thing as an homage, I guess, to King Booker was terrible. Like, it made no sense. Zelina is an evil fucking bitch. Like, that's her. No, but that's her job. You know what I mean? She's the fucking evil. They say it enough on Raw. I might as well say it once in a while. But that's who she's got to be. She's got to be the mean asshole. You know? She's a dick. All right? If you prefer, I call her a dick. I mean, bitch, dick, whatever. That's what she has to be. You know? She's mean. She's a heel. She's going to say mean things to you. She's going to do mean things. She's dastardly. She's not comedic. She's not a joke doing a British accent. That doesn't fit with her character at all. That's not La Muñeca. That's La Bullshit. She's La Muñeca. That's her gimmick, you know? She's a badass. But this is not what this is. British accent. It's no bueno, okay? Then she beat Doudrop, which is kind of impressive. Zelina keeps beating Doudrop. Another rematch here. Zelina versus Doudrop, Queen of the King tournament
Crown.
Queen of the Crown.
Crown of the crop.
Queen of the crop. Too sweet to be sour, too hot to handle, too cold to hold. Zelina Vega. She beats the Drop of Dew after hitting her with the scepter. She has a scepter because she's the queen. The ref was distracted after there was an untied turnbuckle. Zelina untied a turnbuckle to distract the ref. Classic heel maneuver. And then grabs her weapon, hits the babyface with the weapon. 1, 2, 3. When the ref comes back, it's like, oh, you knocked her out. And Zelina wins.
The referee, I see you've knocked her out. I shall count the pin then.
I see you've knocked her unconscious very quickly. She seems dead. That's fine. Let's just continue with this
I see
match.
no reason to investigate any wrongdoing or foul play.
Yeah. So, yeah, this seems totally logical. A second ago, Doudrop was standing, totally conscious. Now she's dead. Must have been totally fair. I trust you, Zelina Vega, after you untied this thing to distract me. You weren't doing anything behind my back. Anyways. So that happened. Zelina needs to drop the British accent. That was fucking stupid. Becky Lynch needs to drop her Irish accent. That fake accent that she's pulling off. It needs to cease. What is she doing? Oh, is that real?
I think it's real.
Sorry. I thought that was...
Think.
I know it's real. She's the fucking man, all right? And the man came back to Houston. Finally, the man has come back.
She said something along those lines.
Yeah, pretty much.
And she got a nice babyface pop.
Big time.
This promo was interesting. I think it backfired. It was a good promo, but it backfired. I think Becky came out the babyface and Bianca the heel. She got heel reactions, Bianca. She'd say things and like get heel or silent, like boos or silence, like.
Yup.
It was weird.
It was interesting. It was interesting. Becky Lynch is babyface. People love Becky, and this trying to turn her heel is not working so well, especially with the whole Charlotte Flair thing that has come out over the past few days. There was that weird title exchange on SmackDown on Friday night that we talked about after the show. After SmackDown here, we're on, of course, and we were talking about it with Johnny, and it was a weird segment, right? It closed out SmackDown. It was bizarre the way Becky exited the ring. She's like, well, I'm off to Raw now, and I'll see one of you at Survivor Series, I guess. Bye. And then she just left. It was weird. The whole demeanor of Becky during that was weird. You could tell something was odd while you were watching it, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. And then the reports come out that, Becky was supposed to hold both belts at one point and have a Becky 2 belts moment, but Charlotte didn't want that. And there's even reports that Charlotte wanted to actually drop the Raw Championship to Bianca last week on Raw, and then maybe Becky would be forced to drop the SmackDown title to Sasha Banks, so Sasha could go over to SmackDown as SmackDown champion, and Bianca could be the Raw champion, avoiding this awkward title switch that they had to do when Becky, as the SmackDown champion, got drafted to Raw, and Charlotte, as the Raw champion, got drafted to SmackDown. But historically, this is something that they have done in the WWE. This isn't new. This is something that they've done many times, just saying, oh, well, you're on this brand, you're on this brand, let's switch the tag team belts. They did that with the New Day and Street Profits. I remember not long ago, last draft, they did that. So it happens pretty often where it's like, okay, well, I'm the SmackDown champion, but I'm on Raw now, and you're the Raw champion, so let's just, switch. Or, they had they had a Universal champion that was on Raw, right, and the belt was red, and then the Universal Champion moved over to SmackDown, and the WWE Champion moved over to Raw, so now the Universal Championship is blue. You know what I mean? They do this kind of stuff all the time, but apparently Charlotte wasn't happy about the way that they were doing it, or even that they were doing it at all, and Charlotte got into a big screaming match, apparently, with Becky backstage. There were some words. It was, some friction going on, and there's different reports from PW Insider and various places that Charlotte even got escorted out of the building by security. It's a little crazy, the stories that we're hearing about Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch and what happened there for the contract sign or the title exchange. The one point there where Becky goes to take the belt from Charlotte. Charlotte kind of stretches it away and then drops it on the ground. Apparently that was not supposed to happen whatsoever. And then, Charlotte picked it up and gave the belt to Sonya, and Sonya gave the belt to Becky, and then Becky threw her belt at Charlotte. Charlotte caught it and then kind of dropped it. There was a lot of moments there that seemed a little weird, and now when you're hearing the stories, they kind of make more sense. But of course, there's always new developments, and Beth Flair, who is Charlotte's mom and ex-wife of the Nature Boy Ric Flair, she is weighing in on Twitter, defending her daughter, and also saying that it may be a work, that she doesn't really believe all the different stories that are coming out there, and it's interesting. It could be a work, this could easily be a fake story being fed to people. This could be something where Becky and Charlotte are trying to do something out of the box, and they're trying to work the locker room, and they staged this backstage deal. It's possible. It's something that wrestlers have done in the past, and it is better that way when you're working, the locker room as well as the fans, because that's how you really work the fans into believing that it's true. When you work the locker room and the stooges that then go tell, the Meltzers of the world, right? When those people, the wrestling news people that go and try and break these stories all the time, trying to tell you what's happening backstage or that type of stuff. When you can work those people, it's a much better story, because then you believe that it's real. So when Charlotte and Becky eventually meet at, say, a Survivor Series, it's a really big match. It is colossal, right?
It's not just another, Charlotte and Becky again. Now it's like, here we go. This is a grudge match. Another in a long line of classics.
I was even saying that I hope it's Becky versus Sasha at Survivor Series, because we've seen Becky and Charlotte so many times, it's kind of played out. But at this point, after all those reports from people that don't even work for WWE, but maybe got worked, by WWE. It's kind of the biggest match WWE could do at this point. Like, if they gave you Becky versus Charlotte next week on pay-per-view or whatever, a lot of people would be hyped about that and would be tuning in because you would think, oh, shit, what's going to happen here? Can they work together? How's this going to go? Right? So the realer it is, the better it is. And I am not convinced that this is real. I'm not, because I've been around wrestling for too long, and I've seen stories that are really good, but are, in the end, a work. Like Ronda Rousey's thing when she was working everybody and talking to shit about wrestling while she was wrestling, you know, like saying if this was real, I'd beat them all up. Like, she's working to do that. It's a work. And in this day and age, you have to think out of the box to trick the people into believing it's real. So you have to say real things mixed in with the storyline stuff. You have to add that little bit of reality to make people believe the bullshit, right? So Ronda Rousey and her story up until WrestleMania was just brilliant in that because there was a lot of reality in what she was saying, but there was also a lot of, entertainment in what she was saying. And Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are, they were in that match with Ronda, right? They're well aware of how to do things and how to make hot angles and how to do things correctly. They could very well be working everybody. The fact that Charlotte's mom is tweeting out, this is a work, it's suspicious. It's like, okay, well, if her mom says it's a work, like, she would know, right?
And neither of them are talking about it. The only thing that, like, kind of throws, but even then, is, like, the Andrade tweet of, like, F you, WWE, but even that could be, like, a work.
Yeah, Andrade, who's
it's emotional,
Charlotte's
but,
fiance, tweeted out F you, WWE. He could be working, too, helping Charlotte with the work. He's a wrestler. All he has to do is tweet out F you, WWE, and people go, oh, right? People freak out.
And, like, he's helping, his fiance and also maybe getting some feelings off his chest. It's an easy way. Like, because if he did that without any context, people are like, hey, what's up with him? Now, he could say it, and people are like, oh, it's part of the storyline. And he could still say, hey, take that, Vince.
It works. It works both ways for Andrade. So I'm not convinced. What do you think? You think it's a work? You think it's on the square? What do you think? Is this Charlotte and Becky thing real? Is it not real? Let me know in the chat. Let me know. What do you guys think? Right now I'm leaning towards real, but with a lot of suspiciousness. Like, I think I'm like 60-40 right now. And I was like 80-20, before. But now with Charlotte's mom saying it's a work, I'm like, okay, well, is she? I'm actually 50-50. I'm not even sure. I'm really on the fence. I'm 50-50.
It feels like it could be a work.
It feels like it could be
Charlotte's
a work.
been doing a lot of, like, shooty things, like all the stuff she did with Nia Jax, where it looked like, oh, they're really fighting. And it's a shoot. Like, I think that's, like, kind of what Charlotte's going for, is a little bit of, like, breaking the script and, like, the announcers kind of go quiet. Like, a lot of during these times, the announcers don't talk. And, like, I don't know if it's they're being instructed to help for the storyline, or if it's just, like, they're all acknowledging that this is breaking the script, and so they're just waiting until it finishes. But it's kind of weird. It feels a bit too perfect,
Yeah, it's like it's too good of a story. It's too salacious. And there's too many details coming out now, like, oh, nobody likes Charlotte backstage, and this has been boiling over for a while with the Nia Jax thing, and Charlotte's unhappy, and da-da-da.
Little morsels.
Yeah, it seems...
Tasty morsels.
Yeah, they keep coming out, It's like, oh, here's a little bit more that we'll feed you, I don't know. And Charlotte learned, like, okay, she wasn't at Mania, and because of that, she got hotter. Like, because she wasn't at Mania and she kind of disappeared, it was like, oh, what's going on with Charlotte? And the controversy made her a bigger star when she did appear, It's interesting. It's interesting. Patrick C. Hamilton dropping a super chat. Thank you, Patrick. You are the super chat leader of the night right now. Saying, dropping in. Nice to see your older brother, Dave, behind the mic.
I think there's a comma between brother and Dave. I think he thinks I'm older.
Are you older?
I think, yeah.
You're not older. I'm older.
I'm not older.
I'm significantly older.
But
I'm like nearly 5 years older. He just looks older. But I am the older brother.
It's not the years. It's the mileage.
He's just got more face hair and he's bigger than me. But I'm older.
By 4 3/4 years exactly.
But he puts up a good fight, let me tell you.
I do what I can. I'm no tougher than anyone else.
Especially not me. I'll tell you that much. Let's fight right now. Let's forget this show and let's just have a scrap. It's fun. I love fighting.
Nah, I'm too
so
mellowed
much
out.
fun. Let's wrestle. You guys want to see us wrestle? Okay. Angelo thinks it's not real. Hey guys, drop a $50 super chat right now. We will wrestle. I will put it through this table. Goddammit.
You're Zeke from Bob's Burgers.
I really am. I fucking love that guy. Hey, J. Jew, let's wrestle. Oh, Jimmy Jr. All right. Angelo thinks it's a work. Harold Schneider thinks it's contract negotiations. Alex Tarris is sick of Liv Morgan losing. And AJ thinks everything's funny. Shout out to AJ. Love you, buddy. Yeah. So, Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair will be wrestling next week, though, for the Raw title. Becky says, people don't want to see me wrestle Bianca Belair. They want to see me wrestle Rhea Ripley. Nobody likes her. You want to see me beat her up, right? That was a great line. So good.
And it was good, too, because she had the crowd with her. It was like, you want to see me wrestle Rhea Ripley? They're like, yeah, we do.
Yeah. She's
you
like,
want to see me beat her? They're like, what? Boo.
Yeah. She's like, yeah. Oh, yeah, nobody likes her, right? You want to see me beat her up?
That's a very Rock line.
It was really good.
Very Rock.
She's so good.
She's channeling like some 2000s Dwayne.
She's one of the best
turn
promos.
the crowd in
She's one of the best promos in all of pro wrestling. She might be the best as far as consistency. She's so good.
Mm-hmm. It's very comfortable behind the mic.
Everybody wants to talk about Roman Reigns. Like, Roman Reigns is nowhere near as entertaining as Becky Lynch.
No way.
A lot of people like Roman Reigns promos. I think his character is really good. I find him like mind-numbingly boring. Just because you're the star of the show, just because you have the lead role, doesn't make you good. You know what I mean? Just because you're the star, I think people are confused by he's the lead of this show. You're a shitty lead of a shitty show. A lot of who's a shitty lead of a shitty show?
On TV now?
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
Or like the guy who was the main guy from Avatar, That was a big movie, impressive movie, but that guy, no one remembers that guy.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Exactly. Sam Worthington. Because he was kind of like...
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Exactly. That was the first thing that came to mind.
All right. Anyways, Bianca Belair showed up, and she's like, oh, I didn't get pinned at Crown Jewel, and you cheated to win, Becky. You had the ropes, and I saw that. And then she's like, I beat Charlotte last week, and Charlotte was the Raw champion, and so now I get a shot at the Raw champion. I've earned a title shot. And I was like, that's a stretch of logic there, Bianca Belair. That's why you deserve a title shot. You did lose in the triple threat match, and Becky, you can use the ropes in a triple threat match because it's no DQ technically, so she didn't really cheat to win at all. And yes, she pinned Sasha Banks, but Becky did win fair and square in a match that you were in, Bianca Belair. So for you to come out and be like, well, last week I beat Charlotte. I think she beat her by DQ, right? She beat Charlotte by disqualification, and then she was a Raw champion last week, so that means I earn a shot at the Raw champion because I beat the Raw champion, but now the Raw champion is you, Becky Lynch, so I earn a shot at you. It was a little, Bianca wanted the shot tonight. Becky had a kendo stick. They hit each other with the kendo stick, and then Becky had to escape after Bianca grabbed the kendo stick and hit her a couple times.
Awkward promo from Bianca. There were no real moments. And like when she tried to do like some like big moments that would get like a pop, the crowd just wasn't really with her. And when she was kind of going on about like how Becky cheated, like the crowd was kind of starting to boo her, you know, like in the way they boo like, you know, whiny heels. It was
Her promos don't make her out to be a babyface. She's like very cocky and then kind of like nitpicky and whining about different things. It's strange.
You know, like nobody likes the person who pulls out a rule book.
Yeah.
Like whenever someone goes, well, according to Section C of Article 2, like everyone just wants to throw tomatoes at that person.
Yeah. But also, you know, like John Cena, right? He would come out and be like, well, you know, I don't like the way you did it, but you beat me. I'm going to get a rematch, and I'm going to beat you because you know, and people hated that too. So, same time, you know, Cena didn't question these things, and he was just.
It's just because also every time Cena said, I'm going to get a rematch and I'll beat you, he did get a rematch, and he would beat them.
That's John Cena, goddammit. He deserved that.
No, but it's just every time.
That's right. But Bianca, yeah, I think her promos are not terrible, but she comes off more awkward when she's in there with Becky, who's a master. When you're kind of new and not that great at promos, and then you're in there with the best in the business, you're going to get outclassed, you know? And it seems like she's really outclassed in these promos. The matches, she's right there with her, you know? Bianca's wrestling in the ring is very good, and wrestling all these top talents that she's wrestled has really upped her game a tremendous deal from starting on the main roster to where she is now. Like, she's steadily improving, and that speaks to the kind of athlete that she is, and I had no doubt that she would continue to improve in the ring very, very quickly because she's such a freak athlete that if she's just coached correctly and with the right people in the ring, she's going to become one of the all-time greats. But the promos, like, they're not there yet because, you know, that's a whole other thing. Like, she's a great athlete, but, like, she's got great character, she's got a great look, but the talking and the, like, I don't know if she knows how to be a great babyface yet, you know? Like, it's not quite working, and that cocky EST, that's the problem with the EST gimmick. It's a heel gimmick. When you say, I'm the EST of WWE, I'm the best, I'm the strongest, I'm the fastest, I'm the bestest, I'm the coolest, and I'm like, you're not very humble, you know, and baby faces need to be humble and they need to gain sympathy, but it's really hard to get sympathy for Bianca Belair when she's the strongest one in there, she's the biggest one in there, and she keeps talking about how much better she is in every aspect all the time. It's hard to like her as a babyface when she's always telling you how much better she is than everybody else around. And when you look at her, you're like, yeah, I believe you.
Like Mr. Perfect.
Yeah. That's a really good heel, you know? Yeah. She's a great heel. Like, if she doesn't have to do much, just WWE just needs to position her as a heel. I think it would work.
It worked in NXT. She was a heel for a bit.
She was a very good heel in NXT.
And then she turned to babyface when she chased, like, Shayna. And then she got called up to the main roster, and she's always been a babyface since.
Yeah, I don't know. And especially against Becky, who's so beloved, it's a struggle for Bianca, and it's really not her fault. It's the way WWE has positioned her right now as a, you know, cocky babyface who keeps talking about how she's better than everybody, and meanwhile, you know, Becky just had a kid, and now she's coming back after, you know, a few months off. You know, she's a new mom, and, you know, she's smaller than Bianca, and, like, she's one of the greatest stars in the history of the company, and she's really good at promos, and she's really entertaining, and it's hard not to like her, you know? Like, this deciding of the WWE to bring Becky in as a heel and try to make Bianca a bigger babyface off of it, I think is backfiring in a major way. And tonight, you heard the crowd, like, they were on Becky's side. They weren't really with Bianca.
And Houston, you know, Texas, big babyface market. They love babyfaces.
But isn't there a thing? It might be like a state rivalry. Do they not like each other? Because she's from Tennessee.
I think it's more Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, right? I don't know the football rivalries.
It's Oklahoma, like college football.
Yeah.
Hank Hill did not like Oklahomans.
Right.
What he said about Alabaster. He's like, he may be a lot of things, but he is from Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
So you could take him.
Um,
I'm the Mac Daddy of Heimlich County.
Well, there goes that theory. I guess it's just, Bianca, I guess. So next week, it'll be Bianca and Becky in Providence, Rhode Island. We'll see how that goes for the Raw Women's Championship. I think Becky retains.
Probably with some dirty tricks.
Yeah, that's fine.
Grabbing of the tights or something.
I don't know if this works long term. I think Becky stays babyface and Bianca maybe turns heel. I think that's the best course of action.
A double switch maybe somehow.
Yeah. See Ray Cruz asking what happened to Asuka. She's hurt. She has an arm injury. She should be back pretty soon, but she didn't get drafted. And, at some point she'll be back, probably on Raw, but she's injured. So no need to worry about Asuka. I think she'll be all right. She's not getting fired or anything. She's Asuka. What else happened here on Raw? The Becky promo. Damian Priest beat T-Bar by disqualification when T-Bar tossed the announcer's chair on Damian Priest, and then Priest attacked T-Bar a little bit after the match. Can't he just go back to Dominic Dijakovic? Does he still have to be T-Bar?
Poor guy.
It's
gotta hurt.
It sucks. It sucks for T-Bar. He could just be Dominic Dijakovic. He came out, he did this weird, punch thing, kick
Goldberg
thing, and he almost, fell over, and he kind of laughed. Damian Priest was laughing, too. The match was, whatever, but the finish was terrible, so who cares? Keith Lee beat Cedric Alexander. Keith Lee, the Bearcat, is back. Hit him with, a slam. The match was real short. Lee had, a face-off with Shelton Benjamin, so I guess next week he'll wrestle Shelton. When he had the face-off with Shelton, I thought, are they going to do this now?
Might as well.
Right? That's a very Raw thing. Just kind of get it over with. Yeah, all right. But no, we're going to wait till next week to see, can Keith Lee beat Shelton Benjamin? Tune in next week on Raw. All right.
Cedric Alexander didn't get an intro. Just in the ring.
No? Oh, yeah. Interesting match here. Two of the youngsters of WWE, Austin Theory, wrestled Dominic Mysterio after challenging him backstage, and Austin Theory beat Dominic Mysterio.
Pretty handily.
As he should.
Yeah.
I think he's younger than Dominic Mysterio, but he looks like, a grown man compared to Dominic Mysterio, right?
Yeah. Well, Dominic in that backstage promo looked really pale and just he does not belong.
Is Dominic all right?
I don't know. Probably, laid off the gym for a bit.
Dominic Mysterio is 2 months older than Austin Theory.
They're both born in 1997.
Dominic's born April 97. Austin Theory's born August 97.
God damn it.
24 years old. Yeah, you could be a human being that's grown up and in WWE if you're born in 1997. Imagine that.
Times like that make me feel old.
Yeah, you're not that much
I know.
older than them, though. You're 5 years older than them.
I know. But still.
Well, no, you're 7 years older than them, actually.
Yeah. I remember 1997 quite vividly.
Yeah, me too. I mean, not as well as AJ remembers it. AJ was 40 in 1997. AJ, I see you on the chat. That's what you get.
Yeah.
You still get the jabs. We've been with AJ.
And AJ, well, for as long as we're on AJ, it's not you bring a gun to a knife fight. It's you bring a knife to a gun fight. AJ said, yeah, it's like bringing, if you look in the comments, AJ
brings
said,
a gun to a knife fight.
That's not the analogy.
But who's he talking about? Maybe he is talking about that.
He was talking about Bianca's promo skills compared to Becky's.
Well, Becky's bringing a gun to the knife fight.
Yeah,
maybe.
but it's you bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah.
Is the phrase. Bring a gun to a knife fight, you're fine. There's nothing to say about that. Doesn't make it a phrase.
Wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight.
Is that Ricky?
Food fight? What does he say, JC?
Oh, Jesus.
Wouldn't bust a grape in a food fight? Or fruit? What's a fruit fight? No, I think it's food fight. There's no such thing as a fruit fight, I don't think. Although, RK Bro beat the Dirty Dogs.
Some pineapples.
Yeah. And that was it. That was Raw, right? RK Bro won.
Yeah, and then the ladder match, took up a huge chunk.
Ladder match was a good chunk of the Raw, and that was why it was good, because the ladder match was really good. But the rest of the show, like, kind of uneventful, kind of weird. How Ziggler and Rude, won a match and then got a title shot that was later that night. And then a bunch of kind of nothing matches. Keith Lee, Cedric, Austin Theory, Dominic, Carmella, Liv, Damian Priest, T-Bar. Like, all those matches happened all in a row. It was Priest, T-Bar, Carmella, Liv, Keith Lee, Cedric, and Austin Theory, Dominic. And they all just kind of happened very quickly. And
about like 2 minutes each.
Yeah, you got to finish and you were in and out. And
And like a video package, to either bring you in or out of the commercial. You're fine.
And they weren't offensive. They weren't terrible. And, you had that kind of opening a triple threat tag team match, which was decent with the Street Profits and Alpha Academy and Ziggler and Rude. Then you had Zelina's weird promo, which I enjoyed because it was so weird. You had Becky Lynch's promo that was really good. Zelina and Doudrop was short, like everything kind of, was all right. And then the main event was excellent. Match of the night by far. But as far as the Monday Night Raw, especially over the past few weeks, like, this was good. No Bobby Lashley. Giving him a break, I guess. Oh, because Goldberg, killed him. Bobby Lashley's dead, right? Isn't that the deal?
Did it for Gage.
Yeah, because Goldberg said he was going to kill Bobby Lashley at Crown Jewel, and last we saw Bobby Lashley... Oh, no, he was stumbling away from that table that he went through, right? He stumbled. He's all right.
I guess he gets
Bobby's not dead. Or maybe Goldberg, killed him and left him in Saudi Arabia, chopped him up in a million pieces and Khashoggi'd him. He went full Khashoggi.
Maybe.
They do that in Saudi Arabia. Well, they do that.
It was at the embassy.
They do that in Turkey.
Yeah.
It was in Turkey. But the Saudis have done that. I mean,
technically an embassy is their land. So you could make an argument that it was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, nevertheless, it was pretty horrible, and I really hope Goldberg didn't do the same thing to Bobby Lashley, even though he threatened to murder him several times before the match. We didn't see Bobby Lashley on Raw. I'm not sure. I can't say for certain that Goldberg did not kill Bobby Lashley in Saudi Arabia.
He is still,
I think you might be able to get away with it if he did do it.
Bobby Lashley, though, is advertised for the winter shows that we saw in the little Scott Stanford commercial.
Yeah, the December 30th house show in Laval, Quebec. It's your buddy, your pal, Scott Stanford, telling you that it'll be Big E defending the WWE title against Bobby Lashley, which Bianca Belair challenging Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title, which tells you Becky probably holding on to the belt.
Yeah, I mean,
because she's being advertised for a house show as the champion in December. So I'd assume that she's going to retain the title next week on Raw. Although plans could change. Becky could be the challenger and Bianca could be the champion. We got tickets for that house show. We're going.
I'm excited.
We're going. Taking my boy to his first ever wrestling show. Not this boy, my little boy. My 4-year-old boy. First ever wrestling show.
Always remember your first.
Yeah.
Your first was cool.
Yeah, my first wrestling show, I saw Macho Man and Sid Justice in a cage, brother. It's pretty good.
Mine was
at the Montreal Forum, because that's how old I am. I went to the Montreal Forum. Yeah. Yours was at the Bell Center. It was a Molson Center at the time, but still, same building. I'm so old, I went to the Forum.
WCW house show.
I saw a lot of WWF shows at the Montreal Forum, all right? You know I'm an old guy because I can say that phrase. WWF shows at the Forum. That's old-timey shit.
I saw Mongo. I mean, you did too. You were there too.
Gotta love Mongo.
Mongo.
You haven't lived if you haven't seen Mongo.
Hogan was the big deal.
Well, yeah, Hogan's always a big deal.
I can still picture in my head the graphic that would play. It was this big it was a static image with the name and the birthplace and weight. I think they played the normal NWO theme. I don't think they played Voodoo Child. But Hogan came out and it was just I couldn't believe it. And it was 1997, Hollywood was running wild, he was on top. And then he lost clean to Jacques Rougeau.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's one of the 15, 12 times Hogan's ever lost clean without any kind of interference or we got hit in the head earlier than night or anything like that. It's like one of the only few times. That was my first show.
I just remember Ric Flair was there, and I was amazed to see Ric Flair because he was such a massive star, and he was just like managing Jeff Jarrett or Mongo or somebody there with the Horsemen at the time.
Yeah, he was just there.
And it was like, oh my God, that's Ric Flair. I was like amazed because it's the fucking Nature Boy, and he hadn't been in Montreal, you know? I'd never seen him before. It was the first time I saw Flair, and I was like, wow, it's fucking Ric Flair right there.
Yeah,
like,
that was cool.
It was pretty cool. Like the first time you see Ric Flair, you're like, oh my God, that's fucking Flair, you know?
Faces of Fear there, Megan the Barbarian.
AJ's so old he went to Verdun Auditorium and saw Mad Dog Vachon. How old are you, AJ?
That must have been cool.
How old is AJ?
Maybe he's immortal.
Like AJ saw Edouard Carpentier, you know?
Did he saw Andre, didn't he?
Probably. Yeah, he did.
He was Jean Ferret?
Yeah, didn't AJ see Andre?
Did he say he met Andre?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ's got a story about everybody, yeah.
Although some of them are
AJ
true.
met Andre
some
the
of them
Giant.
are true.
How old is AJ? I never saw Andre.
Our father saw Andre when he was like a young man, presumably.
Oh. Angela says Lashley has tweeted, so he's not dead. That's good. Good news. I'll be back here Wednesday night. All right? Wednesday night. Is that it? Yeah. Wednesday night? Yeah. I'm going to be back Wednesday night after Dynamite with Johnny and maybe this guy.
Could be.
We'll talk. Okay? And then I'll be back again on Thursday with Freddie and AJ. We're going to be previewing the UFC pay-per-view, UFC 267 in Abu Dhabi. Coming up on Saturday, we'll also be doing the watch-along for that pay-per-view Saturday afternoon. Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. Angelo dropping the $1 super chat, I think just to
eclipse.
To surpass Patrick. I think that was the motive behind that one. Thank you, Angelo. So he could be the super chat leader of the night. There you go. So yeah, UFC 267 pay-per-view coming up on Saturday. So we got a big week here on the Ringside Report Network. I'll be back after Dynamite Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Then again on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Ringside Report MMA. Going to do the big UFC 267 preview. Then again on Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right after Smackdown. We'll be talking about everything that happens on Smackdown and watching AEW Rampage live along with you. And then again, Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, UFC 267 live from Abu Dhabi. Freddie and AJ will be back with me to watch that pay-per-view and give you our live picks and thoughts and selections and so on of what's going on in the fight stuff cage. Okay? I just lost all steam there at the end. I just like, all right, the show's over and we're done.
Get all the words out, in the breath.
Right now, I'm just focused on going to download the new Nintendo Switch online. I'm going to go sign up to that because there's the new Nintendo Switch online package that just released tonight. It just came out. So I'm going to go download that. I don't know how much it costs. I don't care. I'm going to go sign up for it. And then I'm going to get the Nintendo 64 online games and the Sega Genesis online games. My Nintendo 64 controller for the Switch has already shipped from the Nintendo store. I'm pumped. It's Nintendo season. The new Mario Party comes out on Friday. There's a lot of cool shit coming out from Nintendo. The new Switch online just dropped tonight. I'm hyped. I'm going to go download that. Go play some Nintendo 64 games. Gonna go play Mario Kart 64, maybe Mario Tennis, maybe Mario Golf. I'm gonna do all that shit, and then Friday play the new Mario Party. It's good times. If you're a Nintendo fan like I am. Thank you to Angelo Contagones. You are the super chat leader once again, my friend. Thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network. Thank you, Patrick C. Hamilton, the OG Day One original member. Don't forget to become a member, just like Angelo Contagones did, just like Patrick C. Hamilton did, just like Harold Schneider did, right? Just like Leor did. I see you, Leor. Jason Pete in the chat as well. Thank you, Brian Firth, supporting the Ringside Report Network. Become a member. Go to join.ringsidereport.net, or if you're watching us on a desktop, you can just click that join button beneath me. There's a join button under the video. Press join and then join. $5 a month. You support the Ringside Report Network in a big way, and you become part of the team.
Join us.
Join us. We'll see you. We'll see you again soon. Okay. Wednesday. Wednesday? Yeah.
Sleep
for
tight.
Dynamite. Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. See you.